So, first things first, Fredrik, how are you?
I'm fine. A bit tired, to be honest. I spent the whole week on Sweden Rock Festival,
Mm.
and it's a wonderful festival. We played there on Wednesday, and I saw some really good bands. I was so impressed by Judas Priest, for example. Like that guy is fucking 71 years old, and he fucking deliver. Also impressed by the Hives. It's not a rock. It's a rock band, but
Sure.
yeah, really energetic and also very impressed by Hammerfall. Actually, they were delivered really well, so that was really fun. And
Okay,
some other bands.
yeah, that's really good to hear. And what is interesting as well, you mentioned Judas Priest, the age that some of these metal artists are at this point. I mean, you've been around a little bit. What is it about metal that keeps people so passionate throughout their life? Because I think from what I hear and what I can gather, once you're a metalhead for life.
Yeah. I don't know, but it's like if you go to like Sweden Rock Festival and you bump into somebody and you say sorry and you get a hug back. That's
Mm,
the spirit of that festival, and it's like a love festival. It's not a pride festival, of course, but in one way it is. But it's just like, yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's something that's unite us in one way or another. It's the music, of course, but it's yeah, but it's brilliant.
sure. And
And it's
if we
more or
go,
less the same
oh,
wherever you go in the world and you play on festivals, and people are happy. Maybe that's the spirit that unites people. I don't know.
So, so if we go all the way back to the beginning for you, when because I believe you were born in 1967, so you
Yes.
were a really good age when early 80s when all those metal albums were released. What was your what how did you see the spirit that time? How did you find the spirit of metal at that point?
To be honest, I was a pop guy from the beginning. I was
Okay.
listening to ABBA and Bob Marley,
Mm,
Depeche Mode, stuff like that. And when I was like around 24 or something like that,
okay.
I started playing in a band, and they were metalheads. So they brought me into like Accept and all that stuff. So I was, you can call me a late bloomer.
Okay.
So yeah,
Oh, I
so
didn't
I was
know that because yeah, you have such a great resume within metal. It's interesting to hear that you got to it kind of late in that sense.
yeah. So that's so first time I was in contact with death metal was like we shared a rehearsal room with several bands, and there was this band called Ceremonial Oath, and I came early of some reason to the rehearsal, and I heard this noise inside this room, and what the fuck's going on? And I took my key and opened up, and I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Because I didn't absolutely have never heard about it. And the other guys in my band came and I said, "What's going on in there?" Oh, it's called death metal. And I was like, "Oh, I never heard about it." So it's just like,
At this point, when you were in that band, were you already producing? Were you already
no,
playing
no, no,
tech?
no,
Okay.
no. So we used to, yeah, we played, and the reason why I came into the producing was I had some home recording equipment, and I thought that was really fun. And we recorded a demo with my band, same band,
Hmm.
and I saw the potential of the studio, but it was so after my military service, I went to that guy and said, "Do you want a partner? Because I want to have a place where I can record my own music,
Hmm.
and this is a great place." And then I'm starting to record other bands instead for, for over 10 years. And then I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I started the studio to record my own stuff. So and then I met Gus in Greece,
Hmm.
and we started writing songs together, and that's how everything started with Dream Evil.
But that's very interesting because did you have a kind of a, not necessarily preference, but you mentioned starting in bands, but then production kind of started to take over your life, I suppose, a little bit. So how did you find that balance between being a player of music and then also being a producer of other bands? And how did you balance those two?
Uh, I don't know. I think like to producing bands, you need to understand music. So playing music was uh, an important thing. And I stopped playing in a band for, I think maybe it was 6 years or something like that.
Okay.
And was only into recording. And then it was like, fuck, I should do my own stuff. So.
And I believe, obviously, you've produced so many great artists and so many great albums. What do you kind of remember of that 90s era? Because I can imagine there's so many, as I say, great albums that you were a part of. But then the 90s were also very difficult, I suppose, for heavy metal with grunge coming in and kind of the landscape changing a little bit. So what are your memories of the 90s in a way?
Members of 90s, it was a lot of work. I was working like 12, 14 hours per
Oh,
day,
wow.
7 days a week. So my wife, not wife, but we had 2 children together. She just told me to fuck off because I was never home.
Oh, wow.
Uh, and yeah, but it was I remember, I think it was 96, we did the first Hammerfall album. And it was just like a low budget thing on a very small label. And I liked it, 80s metal. I have all been done that. So we recorded that album. And this is one of the memories, of course. And then Oscar Dronnek called me up and said, we have been signed to Nuclear Blast. And they're going to make 30,000 copies of the album. And I was like, fucking great. But I was thinking to myself, who's going to buy these albums? And then after a year, they have sold 130,000 copies of that album. So, so actually, Hammerfall is a big part of the revival of the heavy metal music.
Okay.
And I remember I went, no, not 6 years. I was out with the band, 4 years, and then I went down to guys in my band and said, like, I'm recording in a heavy metal band up there, and like we all into the heavy metal band because we turned out to make the band to a cover band instead, because it was hard to get any gigs with playing the heavy metal we were doing. So we went over to doing covers instead. And I said, like, I think we can do this, but they were not into it. So also like the album with Slaughter of the Soul, that's where my wife kicked me out from the house. I was working really hard on that album and was totally into it. And when we were done with the album, I remember I invited all my friends, that was pop people, and to listen to the album. It was like a nice evening, drink some beer, and everybody was like, this stuff is really, really good. And also that was a change for me, because after that album was released, I started to get phone calls from all around the world, and I was, what the fuck's going on here? Why is people calling me? And then I realized it was the Slaughter of the Soul album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you look back at that time a little bit about kind of looking back at kind of the sound that was created in Gothenburg, partly by you and other people, of course, and the bands. But do you ever kind of look at that legacy in a sense?
It's the past. It was a lot of fun, of course, but you know, I'm always looking forward. And yeah, but it's like we did the last Handful album, and Oscar asked me, you're going to use the previous album as a template for the new album because the previous album sounds really good. And I'm like, no, we can do better. And it's always like that. Go better, go better. I'm still learning.
So that's a very interesting. Oh well, still learning. What is one thing that you can share that you've learned over the past few years or so, or something that you've kind of realized about your own tastes and musicianship?
I've seen so many people like run into the wall because they are diving into details, and in a couple of years that will not make any sense at all. So just try to relax. Don't be too picky with stuff. You know, if you have a good song, you have a good song. If it's not good, throw it away, make another one. It's just like I've been there myself. I've been on hospital and shit, and puking and all this bullshit with all this stressed up situation with music. But music is fun, and try to stay there and relax. It's like mixing. It's like when I've been like so stressed with mixing, and it's always like, oh, and I finally got that stuff away, and just like, yeah, let's do this, and you start working and don't get stressed up. I see that with many musicians. They get stressed up with the music, and that's something you should try to avoid.
Yeah, I think that's very, very healthy advice. When it comes to Dream Evil, then you mentioned kind of the band took off when you met Gus in Greece, and what was the aim for the band, so to say? Because over the years there have been some issues with, okay, how much are we going to tour, how much are we not going to tour, all that stuff, and some lineup change. What was kind of the idea or the vision for the band when you started it?
When me and Gus actually was writing the first album, actually we were writing a demo of 5 songs, and the only goal with that was to come to Tokyo.
Okay.
So every time we met up, we said, "Hello, Tokyo," and then when we left, we were like heavy metal in the night. And so when we came to Tokyo, and that was like our 4th or 5th show, so it was just like,
oh wow.
Yeah, and Gus was like, "Freddie, we are here now. We are here now." Yeah, I know. Who's gonna say hello, Tokyo? It's gonna be the singer, of course. I said, "Yeah, you're right." And then I just went up on stage, took the mic, "Hello, Tokyo," and I hear back from stage, "Fuck you." So that was actually the only goal we had back then. And then, it kicked off, and and we after Book of a Metal album, there were some options to be like a full touring band, and some people didn't want to do it, some people want to do it, and we had a lot of arguments about this. And then singer and bass player left the band, and but now seems like everybody in the band are more into touring.
Okay.
To be honest,
okay.
Yeah.
For you personally, then, what is your relationship with touring? Because as a producer, do you prefer like being holed up in the studio for days on end, or do you like being on the road?
I like being on the road, but not too much. And I'm really happy actually that Peter and Niklas left the band to stop that situation, because also like when you're touring, there's a lot of drinking and stuff like that. So,
sure.
And I have 5 children, and now, and everybody in the band have children, so now they're all more or less grown up. So now it's easier, to go out. And so I like both, but most comfortable is absolutely to be in the studio, because touring, it can look like it's glamorous, but it's not. It's especially like doing festivals. Sweden Rock Festival is nice, it's easy, but like we played on the festival in Spain, we have to go up 4 o'clock in the morning, fly to Malaga, and then from Malaga to Madrid, and from Madrid 2-hour drive in a bus, and then you have to connect all your gear and see that everything works, and then you get 2 hours off, and then you're gonna play, and then you're down 1 o'clock in the night, and then you have to go up like 7 o'clock in the morning to go to the airport, sit there and wait for 5 hours, and then you have to go to another airport, sit there and wait for 3 hours, coming home 1 o'clock in the night, totally destroyed, and then to bed. That can be a typical festival show.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the traveling is very exhausting from what I hear.
Yeah, it is.
So with that in mind, then, and you mentioned the Book of Heavy Metal. After that, it changed a little bit. United was still released only 2 years after, and after that, the gaps became a little bit bigger between albums. How so?
Yeah, but it's just like all the children. It's like the singer have
Okay.
4 children. Yeah, I have 5 children, and also, I think that's the main reason. It's like stuff in life.
Just life getting, yeah, you have to live life as well, of course.
Yes, and so now for this album, we were like, yes, and we had a new drummer. He's brilliant, and everybody was like, yes, let's do this, and like the album before Six, it was more or less a pain, to be honest, and nobody was really happy with that album. Yeah,
Okay.
it took so long time to record that album.
Mm. But then now there's a really good energy in the band, as you say. So, well, first let's talk about Sören joining on drums. How does that affect the music of the band, the sound? Does that affect the songwriting in any way, or even just the energy in some of the songs?
Energy in the band is much better. He's a very nice and happy guy, and always helpful, and he plays awesome drums. Actually, he came to my studio and recorded drums for another band, and then he just said like, by the way, I'm going to be your new drummer. I didn't know that, because it was our guitar player said, yeah, we should have Sören. He's a good drummer. Yeah, take him. And then that's the first time I met him. So, but he also he's a little bit more into, he's more a Pantera guy. And so the third single we're going to release, that's the song me and him write together. And it's more like a little bit more trashy kind of style. And that's also a thing like I really have as a thing in the band. It's like everybody share the same. If it's outgoing money or incoming money, we always share everything equal. And that's also coming with songwriting. So it's like you have to write songs. Sure. And he can play pretty good guitar. So he's been participate with a couple of songs that we have done. And that's also a fun thing we did. Like this time we met up in the studio, everybody in the band, and was like writing songs together, putting ideas together. So we had like a huge session in Pro Tools that we had all the song ideas. And that was like
really cool.
Yeah, and we came to the conclusion, okay, now we have like 20 songs. Let's take out the 6th one we don't need. So we met up and throw these songs away and starting putting this stuff together. I think it was more than 20 songs. So I remember for Book of Heavy Metal, we had 64 song ideas.
Wow. So that's interesting. When you have 20 or whatever the number of songs was, how do you kind of make that selection? What are you looking for an album? And especially with Metal Gods, it feels like a tribute to metal as well. You mentioned kind of a couple of more trashy songs. There's some melodic elements. There's some symphonic songs and elements in there. So what are you looking for when making an album?
This time we was actually looking a little bit more to go back to the first album.
Okay.
Yeah. So that song's soon going to release Chosen Force. That's we have chosen once, we have chosen twice. We had a song called Chosen Reich, but that was denied by our label strictly. It was called Unchosen Ones instead. And now we have Chosen Force. So that's having what you call it, quadrology, or yeah. And it's like there's a lot of childiness in the first album that we try to bring back.
Like the fun, to recapture kind of the innocence and the fun
but
you have.
you also have to have fun, which is you cannot. That's something you cannot make up. You have to have it. It's a hard thing to explain, but we had a lot of fun when we did that.
That's great to hear. Now, I have a couple of the more generic questions, which is, I mean, for instance, metal gods. Do you have like a Mount Rushmore of metal people you look up to, or is that too big a question?
That's actually, we had two extended songwriters also for this album that made 3 songs for us together with us. And Metal Gods is one of them, and they used to like deliver the song without the verse. And so Niklas, it's straight from his heart how he metal. That's he tributes to Judas Priest, Saxon,
Right.
Manowar. Yeah, so that's what it's everything from how it happened for him.
Another song that kind of stuck out to me was Nightstalker, because I like those type of documentaries about serial killers and stuff. But how does something like that, how does a song like that start, and how does it end up with that theme and everything?
It's actually 100% made off a bass player, and he's kind of into that stuff. You know, he liked that stuff. So it was like, what the fuck? What? So when he just came with a complete song, here I have a song here, and I was like, yeah, but that's it's about a serial killer. Yeah, and he's like into that stuff. He's not a serial killer.
Of course. No,
so,
I mean, I find those documentaries and stuff fascinating just because of the human psychology that's involved. And I think a lot of people, I think there's a similarity with why people like metal as well, with especially the darker side of metal and the carcasses of the world and those kind of bands, because there is some interest in the dark side of life, I suppose.
Yeah, but and the weird thing is like, like with all heavy metal bands and all the metal bands I work with, everybody is super kind people and super nice, super friendly, but yeah, there is something with that people drag into. I don't know why, but that's weird. It's like me. I was in this old series Dexter. You know,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, I'm sitting there and he's a fucking mass murderer. Yeah, but he's super friendly and you like him really much. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
It's an interesting element, but for you, what part of the album, maybe it's just even a mixing thing or just a riff or whatever, what is your favorite part of the album, or what part do you think, well, I'm really happy the way it turned out?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think maybe my because it's so silly. Is that song me and Sören did was like Fight in the Night. You just hear it. The title is silly, and it's silly lyrics. And we also made the song from one riff. So the verse and pre-chorus and chorus are the same riff, but a different tonality. So, and a different way of playing. But it's the same riff in the whole song, more or less. And that's the kind of how Book of Heavy Metal also is. It's made same riff in verse and chorus, and managed to do that. It's fun when you can make that right. It's like when you're playing an E major, and then you can go from E major to E minor, and it makes a special thing. But it's very hard to find places where that works. So, but when you get it works, so, and of course with the, mixing an album, you're never happy. I cannot do this better, but it could be better. And then it's just like hands off, leave it.
Yeah, well, when do you decide? Because, like you said, you can stay there for in the studio for weeks and just play around with everything. When do you kind of, or does somebody else have to tell you, okay, Fredrik, now it's enough, it's okay?
No, I do that myself. That's also the stress I had back in the days, but I couldn't stop. But now it's just like, okay, this is what it is. Leave it.
when it comes to kind of producing, do you still have certain goals that you want to achieve in terms of production, in terms of bands you want to work with, in terms of just evolving a certain sound or something?
Yeah, but like gear change, you
Right.
know, yeah, everything's changing all the time. Like back in the days when we had like a tape recorder and
Sure.
mixing consoles and very expensive outboard, and I don't have any goal. I only try to make stuff better. It's just like I can do this better, and by like I do now, I'm sitting mixing a project that me and some musicians and the singer from Poodles, if you remember, have done. And I'm trying to go completely out of my comfort zone because this is more bluesy stuff, and I go away from all triggers and go try to mix it 100% like I did back in the days, you know, with just like a channel strip, a couple of reverbs, nothing more. So make it hard for myself.
Yeah, one thought just popped into my head because you talked about starting out as kind of this being into pop music and everything. Can you see yourself, and maybe you have, I don't know, but can you see yourself producing a pop record or something in the future?
Yes, absolutely. I do it. I
Okay,
do
okay,
like,
okay.
yeah. So I have some local pop bands that I work with, and which I think is really fun. And they're old friends, and you know, it's nothing big. It's
Um,
absolutely local, but it's just for fun.
yeah, and like you said, just getting out of your comfort zone and learning new things and developing. That's, I mean, that's really cool, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Frederick, may I?
That's
Oh, go ahead.
yes. No, no, no.
Uh, I was going to say, Frederick, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, thank you. This was really nice talking to you too.
Yeah, thank you, and best of luck with everything. And hopefully you get to tour Europe a little bit as well. That would be nice.
Yeps, yeps. Probably something. We had a tour was on plan, but it was too long for the rest of the band because everybody had daily work. So it just like we had said no. So a smaller tour. I really hope for that. Yes.
Sounds great. Well, thank you. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.
The same to you.